The Conference Committee on House File 3669, our extraordinary tax bill will come to order. All right, we'll reconvene. So we have 3 articles before us that we will be seeking to adopt tonight. And the first one is Article 1, that's federal conformity. We've talked about it a lot. We had a review today, and I will just see if there's any further question. Mr. Wilms, do you have anything to add to Article 1 that you think we might not already know? Mr. Williams?
Chair Nelson and members, I was just going to maybe briefly draw your attention to a couple of the changes in the approach in Article 1, if that's helpful.
Yes.
So rather than walking through section by section, much of the bill is unchanged from what was in the House and Senate bill that was the same in both of those bills. I'd direct your attention to page 15 and section 18 of the article. That's the catch-up adjustment. So both the House and Senate language, as it arrived in conference, sort of limited the retroactivity of the bill through this special limited adjustment section. And there's a new limitation on retroactivity section that starts at the bottom of page 15. That's a subdivision that just indicates that, except as provided on the next page, the changes adopted don't affect taxable years prior to tax year 22. That's substantively the same as it was in the House and Senate bill, but it's a little bit different drafting approach, so I just wanted to highlight that for the committee. Paragraph B has the provisions that are fully retroactive, the exceptions to the limitation on retroactivity. And it's the 6 provisions that Ms. Templin mentioned during her walkthrough earlier. So it's the discharge of principal residence indebtedness, disaster-related personal casualty loss deduction, treatment of certain loan forgiveness and other business financial assistance, targeted EIDL advances, restaurant revitalization grants, and the treatment of student loan forgiveness. I'd also direct your attention to paragraph C on line 16.19. This is a new provision that was not in the House and Senate language, but it allows a taxpayer to, in lieu of filing an amended return for those retroactive provisions, they could instead elect to file for those provisions as part of the catch-up adjustment that's calculated in subdivision 3. Otherwise, the language in subdivision 3 and the approach matches the Senate bill in that the House was not conforming on certain charitable contribution provisions, but the approach reflected in the spreadsheet and this language is to conform on those provisions as part of the catch-up adjustment. And so those are the sort of sub changes in sort of the substance of this article, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if committee members have them.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Senator Rust.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I see that there's no statutory reference to the catch-up adjustment, so I'm assuming that's session law only.
Chair Nelson and Representative Rest, Senator Rest, that's correct. This is all in an uncodified section, so it's a one-time limitation on retroactivity.
And
Senator Rest.
thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Wilms and I were smiling over the word ketchup. Is that a term of art? Does that occur anywhere else? And are you sure you have it spelled correctly?
So Chair Nelson and Senator Rest, I think that catch-up language is a defined term.
Okay.
So I don't think catch-up is necessarily a term of art outside of this one particular section. But the section, if you look on line 16.29 of the article, it defines what their catch-up adjustment equals. So it is a term of art for this, for the purposes of this uncodified section.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Rest. We were going to tell you the hot dogs are around the corner there.
I was going to say, thank you.
But, all right. Okay, but actually this is an important, I would say, improvement, having this option for taxpayers, so I do greatly appreciate you noting that. And I thank those who brought that forward to us to make sure taxpayers have the maximum flexibility in how to amend, not remend, amend. All right, any further comments or questions on our conformity article? Well, seeing Senator Rest.
And this Article 1 totally replaces the Article 1 that is on our side-by-side.
Yes,
I just want to understand that, so we're not referring to the side-by-side anymore. We're referring just the language of either bill that is now in this article independent of any descriptions in the side-by-side.
Yes, this is our conference committee report that we
Yeah,
are
I
starting to
just-
adopt here, article
yes.
by article.
Yes, okay.
And tonight, we think we will get through
Thank
3
you,
of
Madam
these
Chair.
articles. Thank you so much. So with this, I'll ask for a motion to adopt Article 1. Chair David, got to David, sorry. Representative David. Okay, Representative Davids moves to adopt Article 1, federal conformity. That is with the 416 timestamp from May 21, 2022, to the conference committee report on House File 3669. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The article is adopted. Thank you, members. The next article we have that is ready for today is the Article 8. This is the renter's tax credit. This one may take a bit more time as it is a new provision that was a House provision. So with that, we will put that Article 8 in front of us, and I'll go to Mr. Williams.
Chair Nelson and Representative Marquart, so this article is largely the same as it was included in the House bill. There's one change, which is that the inflation adjustment language that was included in this article, it duplicates the inflation adjustment language that will be carried in the miscellaneous article for the homestead credit refund. So a decision was made to remove that inflation adjustment language from here and then just have it one place in the bill when we ultimately adopt the miscellaneous article. But other than that, this is substantively identical to what came out of the House. It's not even substantive, it is word for word identical to what came out of the House bill. So there's no changes to this article.
Any further comments? I don't see any, Mr. Chair.
So, Madam Chair, thank you so much. So I know I went through this a little bit in committee the other day, but just kind of to be clear, is that we are moving this from the renter's refund to a tax credit, which is a tax cut. And so we're moving it to the income tax form, and one of the big benefits of that is that instead of waiting until the following August or September for property taxes paid through your rent from the year before, you now can get that credit as soon as you file your income taxes, as soon as late January, probably. So it really shortens that up. The Department of Revenue, right now there's 318,000 renters who qualify for the renter's credit, with about 30% of those being senior citizens and those with disability. The Department of Revenue, by saying you're going to move it from a refund where people have to go through that process to the income tax form, will increase the number of people who sign up. About 120,000 renters, they feel, currently are eligible for the renter's credit, but do not take the benefit. They will now receive this. So that's one part of the tax cut amount that you have. The other part is we move from a household income, which is what you need right now when you apply for the renter's credit or the homestead credit state refund, which you have to include all sorts of additional income, like even your non-tax Social Security. We move that to what you have on the income tax form, which is your adjusted gross income. So now, one of the big ones is you no longer have to count your non-taxable Social Security. And so I gave an example the other day. If you are a husband, wife, seniors, who are making $46,000, but let's say 36,000 of that is Social Security, before when you went to, and by the way, there's no change in the renter's guidelines. I mean, the income levels or any of that. There's no changes to anywhere else in the program. Everything stays intact. We're just moving it from a refund to the income tax credit. But if you have an income of 46,000, you'd look at 46,000 and you'd look through the chart and it'd give you a certain amount of renter's refund. Now, with the household income, you no longer would have to count your Social Security. So instead of looking at 46,000 on the chart, you would go up to only 10,000 income on that chart, and that's going to give you a much larger refund. And actually, in the example I gave you, and because I've gone through this, the refund is anywhere from 900 additional, a credit now, an additional credit of $900 to $1,100. It is significant. And so this bill exempts Social Security taxes for those who now are currently paying those Social Security, or taxes on Social Security benefits. So there's about 55% of our Social Security beneficiaries who do not pay taxes right now on their Social Security, so they will not benefit by that portion of our bill. But this, for those who do not pay on Social Security, this will be a huge benefit to those senior citizens who don't currently pay on their Social Security tax benefits. They're gonna get a real windfall with this increased tax. So I guess the part to remember is we're not changing any of the qualifications or income levels or any of that. We're moving it from a spending portion, which is a refund, to a tax cut credit on the income tax form. That's the basics of that. So that's what that does. And I really appreciate the committee taking this proportion. I think it's really gonna be a game changer for a lot of folks.
And just, thank you, Mr. Chair. And just one, I think, number that would be good to identify. Part of the expenditure to do this, or the cost to do this, had to do more with a calendaring issue than, and I wonder if you might just be able to lightly touch on that. And we should also identify that particular cost, which is a one-time, in a sense, calendaring issue. Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So the cost right now of the program is approximately $220, $230 million a year. And so let's just take that current cost. In fiscal '23, that starts on July 1st, we're still gonna pay the refund this year. That will come out in August or September. So think of $220 million. Then we're going to have to pay the January one. When you file now for taxes, you're going to have to pay, you'll get the credit in January. So it's kind of being counted. You add another 150, which will be the increase under that too, and now it's 373, and that's why you got 373 that first year, is because you're kind of paying twice for it because of this change. And that's one of the reasons, as Senator Rest mentioned, that for 20 years we've been trying to change this back as it was prior to 1981, but you need that money, especially that first time around, to pay that double. And so that's why when it came up this year that we had this target, it allowed for us to kind of finally make this change back to the way it was back in '81. So it's just because you're having to count a couple, something twice is the reason.
Thank you. Thank you. Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Representative Marquart. I know when I first saw the numbers, I thought this is a total waste of these resources, but as you laid out everything about it, it gave me a lot more comfort in the direction we were going, and I just want to let you know I really appreciate the work, but also being able to lay it out in a way that I understood. It made a lot of sense. I'm glad we're actually making this change and moving it to the federal adjusted gross income. I just think it makes it more simple. People get the money earlier, and thank you for your work on it.
Senator Rest.
I think I'm still on. Well, I too am very, very grateful that the House took a hard look at making this change. And a group called Prepare and Prosper, which sometimes testifies, but they used to be the Taxpayer Assistance Program that invited CPAs and so forth to volunteer their time at taxpayer assistance centers to help people fill out the renter's credit program. And I was a volunteer there, and they just celebrated that I was happy to participate in, at least remotely, their 50th anniversary. And a letter that I received from them about this change mentions from Kathleen Murphy, and she says, on behalf of all of us here at PNP, we are wholly 100% behind these changes, as they will greatly simplify the process not only in the paperwork, combining it into the state tax return, but also in the use of AGI instead of household income. It will allow so many more people to access the credit as well. And we know that in greater Minnesota, nearly half of all renters are either seniors or people with disabilities. And she sent me a map of it. So it's going to be, for the taxpayer assistance programs and the senior taxpayer assistance programs, especially in greater Minnesota, is going to make a big difference in the lives of those people who, as you mentioned, that 120,000 people who are currently eligible but don't take it. So something that they're due, but for all kinds of reasons, they have not pursued. But it's going to make a difference all over the state, but from Kathleen's point of view, particularly in greater Minnesota. So thank you, Representative Marquart. And was that your bill, or was that someone, who was the
Marquart.
author of it in the House? Was that yours?
Madam Chair, yeah, that's a bill I introduced. I also had the homestead state credit state refund as part of that, but you should have seen that revenue estimate.
Well,
Anyway, thank
we
you,
took
thank
the
you.
correct one.
Thank you for letting me share that experience, being a CPA back in the day, and going to taxpayer assistance centers and being able to add up every client I helped, every night that I was there, and saying, today or tonight, I saved, 5 taxpayers $555, and my CPA firm was very supportive of our doing that kind of work after hours. But that's probably the biggest satisfaction I had as a tax preparer. But so I'm really, really glad that this is what you all chose to focus on. Just a grand idea, Representative Marquart. Thank you.
Well, simplicity is one of the hallmarks of great tax policy.
Absolutely right.
And of course, in the article we just adopted, conformity, that's going to make tax filing more simple, simplify taxes. And I can see that this particular provision, this Article 8, that renter's tax credit, will also go towards that simplicity of tax filing. And so I can see where this can be beneficial to Minnesotans. And the price tag does seem a bit inflated because of that, just that kind of calendaring issue. But at a time of a surplus is the time to be able to do those type of calendaring corrections, calendaring issues. So with that, is there any other comments or questions? I would entertain a motion. I'll entertain Chair Marquart.
Madam Chair, I will, first of all, thank you for your comments, Senator Rest, Senator Gazelka, and Senator Nelson. And I will move Article 8, the renter's tax credit.
Thank
article.
you. And that this is with the 6:43 timestamp from today, May 21st, 2022, to the Conference Committee report on House File 3669. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is adopted, the article is adopted. Members, we have one article left that we are able to address this evening, and this is, which article is this? Article? Sales and use. Okay, Ms. Pollock, do we know the, which article number we're adopting here?
Madam Chair, we have not finalized the order of the articles, but I would think this would be Article 3. But we can go by the document title at on the top right corner and the timestamp.
Yes, we will do that. We will be addressing the sales and use tax article. And again, that's 5/21/22, 4:23 p.m. is your staff. And it is
Yeah, that, I think she wanted
The
to read that. too.
tax CC dash sales should be at the top of your sheet there. So that's our sales and use tax article. Do we have any questions about that or comments, or members may have comments on certain segments of this sales and use tax? We've kind of gone through this. Not seeing any. We've spent some good time on this. I'll entertain a motion to adopt article on the sales and use tax.
Madam Chair, I will move what's been labeled tax CC sales, 5/21/22, 4:23 PM, the sales and use taxes article. I will move that.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The article is adopted. Members, we have moved through our work today, and our intention for tomorrow is, well, it's Sunday, and there's no description on how to share the gavel that tends to go back and forth. And so Chair Marquart and I are going to share the gavel tomorrow, and we intend then to adopt the rest of the articles. Turn it over to Chair Marquart if he wants to talk a little bit about how we might start tomorrow, or
Yes,
when.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. As you said, I will gavel us in, and after that, we're going to share the gavel as a sign of the bipartisan effort we've had here putting this tax bill together. And we will look at meeting at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning to begin the work to finishing things up and putting a committee conference report together.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Chair Marquardt. And again, I just want to really salute the staff. They have really run through the ringer here. We have expected so much on such little time. You've done such a remarkable job. We thank you. Hope you get a little bit of rest tonight, and we'll be ready tomorrow at 10. So this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Good work, Madam Chair.